world of the internet, it is easy for anyone to publish anything and label it as legit. In the world of medicine, this is no different. In the past 10 to 15 years, there has been an increase in the belief that vaccinating your kids is a negative concept that we need to disband across America. In a study by now discredited Andrew Wakefield in 1998, he linked the MMR vaccine as the main cause for autism. All the vaccine confusion since then can be stemmed back to this one doctor. That is, he has since been reprimanded by his peers for his publishing, and his license has been revoked. In this speech, we will look at why vaccinations are important and what would happen if we stopped vaccinations completely. The fear of vaccinating kids comes from the before-mentioned study. This study correlated vaccinations as a potential cause of autism in children based on its ingredients. According to the CDC, 1.3% of children under 3 years old in the United States had not received any vaccinations by 24 months of age. That's up a whole 1% from 2001. This is concerning as these vaccines include hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and the rotavirus vaccine. Another fearful statistic from CHOP.edu is that worldwide in 2017, approximately 1.5 million children less than 5 years old died from vaccine-preventable diseases. This statistic is only going to get higher and higher as parents permeate the belief that they know better than their medical professionals. Even if the child is unaffected by not getting vaccinated, that child then becomes a problem as part of the herd immunity. Herd immunity is described by the Oxford Vaccine Group as a way of stopping the spread of a germ so people who cannot be protected are protected, such as cancer patients. Imagine if you had a sick grandparent and they came in contact with a 4-year-old kid in the hospital that has not been vaccinated. If that child is a carrier of measles, a disease in which humans can be vaccinated for, your grandparent with a weak immune system could contract the measles on top of their current illness. If the kid was vaccinated, there would have been no chance of spreading the bacteria, as it would have never been there. So what's the answer to our problem? It is imperative that people listen to their medical professionals and educate themselves when speaking about vaccinations. If a kid does not have their vaccinations, I believe it should be mandatory that they receive them before they can enter private school or public schooling, as it's a potential threat to the public. Private schooling, however, is a different matter, as they already have their own rules and regulations by which people follow. We as a society need to take the steps to better educate parents and future parents on the importance of vaccinations. With all the misinformation, it is more important than ever to keep people updated. Above everything, it is our duty to do the right thing for those who are either sick, elderly, and those who aren't able to receive vaccines for whatever reason. We should not put our personal fears about our children being, quote, abnormal before those of the well-being of others. As you can see, we have a major crisis on our hands, and it's only growing. While the number of measles and other diseases cases rise, so does the belief in anti-vaccine. These two numbers rise together because they correlate hand in hand. Something needs to be done about this uprising as quick as possible before diseases that have been mostly eradicated make a return into our regular lives. So here, this baby has a case of the measles. It spreads easily from person to person. It causes a blotchy red rash. The rash often starts on the head and then moves down the rest of the body. This is preventable through vaccinations. Here we have 2 kids that are stricken with polio. Polio is a potentially deadly infectious disease. The virus spreads from person to person, and it can invade an infected person's brain and spinal cord. Polio can cause paralysis, which means you can't move parts of the body, and it also is preventable through vaccines and is currently eradicated in North America, although there are many cases in South America, Mexico, China, Asia in particular, and Africa. Rubella, the symptoms include a low-grade fever, sore throat, a rash that starts on the face and then spreads to the rest of the body, and this too is preventable through vaccines. Probably the most well-known one, chickenpox. Chickenpox is highly contagious to those who have not been vaccinated against it. Symptoms include itchy, blister-like rash on the skin, and chickenpox can be prevented by vaccine also. In adulthood, this later becomes shingles. Tuberculosis is another one. The bacteria usually attack the lungs, but they can also damage other parts of the body. Tuberculosis spreads through the air. When a person with tuberculosis of the lungs or throat coughs, sneezes, or talks, it's spread into the air. Patients with active symptoms will require a long course of treatment involving multiple antibiotics. There was actually a tuberculosis hospital in Louisville that you guys may have heard of. It's called Waverly Hills, and there was so many people who died up there back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. TB is preventable through vaccines as well.